I don't really know where you're at with Troy Weaver as like a general manager. I know some fans, especially after the deadline, they're like, "Oh, let Troy cook." That was kind of like the what I saw on Twitter. But we had a question from C. Harris asking, "Do you believe that Troy Weaver is in the hot seat?"
This is a tricky question because it's a yes and no. I believe there is pressure on Troy Weaver to get not only a better team next season, but a team that will win games, because that's like a huge part of it, right? Like, is actually winning games, not just winning a deadline, not just winning a draft night, winning games. And it hasn't happened so far. And for that reason, there is pressure for sure. Would I say his job is currently in jeopardy? I wouldn't say that right now. The way things are shaking, he made a lot of moves at the deadline. He either had to, and this isn't based on reporting or anything like that, this is just, logic. He either had to sell and get rid of all the veterans and try to maximize their value, or he had to buy and go and get a bigger player, which could have happened with Levine, right? I feel like if the surgery didn't happen, that was pretty close. But he went full sale mode, and you can complain about some of the returns. Like, I know some people wanted a first round pick back for Boyan. I'm sorry, that wasn't going to happen this year. Last year, you probably could have gotten that, but this year, it's just not reality. Everybody knows he's not 100% healthy, and he's kind of a liability on defense. It's just how it is. So I think Troy did enough to where he not bought himself time, because I felt like if he just made some moves at the deadline that kind of shook up the team a little bit, he would have the ability to kind of have the offseason to cook, per se. So I think after this offseason, that's when you can really go and say, okay, Weaver is or isn't on the hot seat. Because I think this offseason is, and I know it's been said before, like last offseason was supposed to be really important. Granted, they did get a huge head coach with a huge contract, but this offseason really is do or die for Weaver. If he doesn't do well, I can't imagine him doing another offseason where, okay, guys, we're going to try it again. This offseason, he kind of has to go out there and be aggressive. And you saw him be aggressive at the deadline, and it's kind of just setting up things to be aggressive in the offseason.
Yeah, I think his comments, I don't know if you got to watch it, but his comments after the trade deadline saying that he's the man for this job, and I was just like, oh, okay. Like, just, nut up and put your balls on the table. Like, shit, all right.
Yeah.
Like, damn, all right.
Yeah.
I like that. But I think he made a lot of, like, if you listen to it, he owned up on his mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he owned up and saying, like, yeah, I think, paying Bagley $12 million was a mistake. And the fact that he did that, I actually gained a lot of respect for him, because some GMs can just be so stubborn and saying, like, this is why I did this. And if they do get questioned by the media, they're kind of snarky about it. And he wasn't really too snarky about it. Like, he was, talking to, the Pistons beat. And, like, they're asking him about Killian Hayes. And they're like, why didn't Killian Hayes work out? He's like, well, he didn't work on his shooting. I told him to work on his shooting for 4 years. He didn't do it. I think when I hear comments like that, him saying, like, I'm the man for this job, basically tells me I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to get a contract extension, basically.
I mean, he already got one, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about another one. Like,
okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I think what he's sold Tom Gores and company is patience, and probably sold him, you've never had a young core like this since you've owned the team. And I know it hasn't translated the wins, but I think this summer is going to be very crucial on how he builds it, where he targets it, how he spends the money, whether that's free agency or trades. I think his seat is warm. I don't think it's hot.
Yeah.
Because if he comes out and has another season like this, you best believe Tom Gores isn't going to be too happy with it.
Right.
I just think some fans are just kind of frustrated that it's like year 4 to rebuild, and
I mean, understandably so. Like, I don't blame fans for being upset at all. I totally get it. I just feel like Weaver has this offseason to really prove himself, and if he does, that's great. He'll probably be the man for this job. But if he doesn't, then it's probably over.